Just wait until some people get on. You can see some bats maybe. There's the moon. There's the moon. Anyway, hello everyone. Arjay here. This is TINLA episode 119. And TINLA is short for this is not legal advice, nor is it legal advice. And everything said on here is my opinion only, unless, obviously otherwise, in terms of like legislation or whatever. It isn't legal advice, as I said. So this is episode TINLA 119, and it includes information about unlucky Lance Lansley Simon, as well as cyberbullying. Is cyberbullying illegal? Is criminal defamation a thing? That kind of thing. So many of you may know that Lansley Simon has a Facebook personality, whatever you want to call it, where his name is Lucky Lance, and I assume that he got that moniker from, getting off things in the past, perhaps, or being generally lucky, who knows. But anyway, so I just saw a video of him where it appears that he's crying. He even wipes his eyes, continually wipes his nose, that kind of thing. So obviously he's having a bad day. So I've just got mosquitoes all over me. And anyway, so he has a Facebook page and a Facebook group called Calling Out All Scammers, which is a fake name, I suggest, because really all it is a cyber hate page where people go on there and do criminal defamation, where you've got to watch out for these plovers. Plovers also called masked lapwings, and they have big spikes on their wings, and they're angry at me for walking in the park. So they've probably got a little baby somewhere. I'll just get away from them. It's a bit worse being hit in the head with spiked wings from a plover than the beak of or the claws of a magpie, I suggest. Anyway, so in a video of Lucky Lance, Lance Simon, Lansley Simon, whatever name you want to use, as I said, it does appear that he's crying. He's very distressed, it appears, in the video. And as I was saying, he does have this Facebook page and Facebook group, Calling Out All Scammers. That is basically a hate page, in my opinion. And they got people insulting certain females that they have a moustache, as an example, that another certain female in particular is a dog, that a well-known female Australian lawyer in the Liberty world is a retard, some other comments like that, and they're some of the nicer ones. So anyway, the ultimate question, I guess, for this video is cyberbullying illegal? You hear all this stuff about, little mosquitoes. Little Johnny is being picked on at school, and then, Johnny goes home and sees all this bad stuff about him on the internet. He can't get away from it, and then poor little Johnny kills himself, that kind of thing, which of course is very tragic. And there are real examples that some people can think of. I think there was a little girl called Dolly here in Queensland, and her family, in her honour and to prevent cyberbullying, youth suicides, created a charity to, I don't know exactly what it does, but presumably it educates students that, you know, cyberbullying and bullying in general is wrong and can lead to people killing themselves. Arguably, some people might point out that there was a Columbine shooting, which the news purported to say that it was 2 kids that were picked on, and instead of killing themselves in the first place, they went on a killing spree. Although that is disputed, but the point is, in Australia, it is illegal to cyberbully. There's various crimes that it can be, state and federal based, and I suggest that Lansley may well be crying because he may well be facing up to 10 years in prison per charge, which usually you have charges if you are found guilty, and of course none of this is what do you call that, you know, it's not confirmed. This is not a court of law. In Lance's video, he keeps trying apparently to put a positive spin, but it's obvious from the context that you know, it's finally caught up with him, that he has been charged, and I would suggest with federal criminal offences that can include imprisonment terms of 5 years, 7 years for aggravation, 7 years for a different one, 10 years for another one. You know, he may well have some pending charges as well that he doesn't know about. Anyway, so I guess that's a good reason to have a little tears on camera or whatever, have a cry, that, you know, he could potentially be going to jail for a long time if he is found guilty after a fair hearing, etc, etc, etc. So, as I told the group before, they booted me off there because basically my relationship with that group is that Lance made some videos about one of my friends, being Peter Little, who is an Australian lawyer by definition, and they were bagging him a lot, including saying about his fragile mental state, yet then they're bullying him, and then saying that he's homeless, and again bullying homeless mental people according to them. And then they tried claiming that I was homeless because I do videos from my car, because I can charge the phone in there, and because it's actually quiet in there usually, as opposed to, you know, I go out and do a video in a park and it's very windy and people can't hear things. Anyway, so criminal defamation varies from state to state. Apparently in Victoria it can be 5 to 10 years. It is a state offence. And like in other places, at least I think New South Wales, Victoria and Queensland, I haven't really looked at the other states, but proceedings only go on with permission of the Director of Public Prosecutions and or the Attorney General in some other areas, I suppose. And anyway, so, you know, it can be 3 years imprisonment, it can be 5 years imprisonment or 10 years with aggravated circumstances in some jurisdictions, and there's other methods or whatever to deal with, you know, cyber bullies, people saying the most disgusting, vile things that they can on someone, and then they complain in their video that someone who obviously charges were brought by, like that person, which I suggest is myself, has gone to the police, and the police are doing charges. And, you know, Mr. Lucky Lance was warned several times about that and still continued. And even in his latest video, he didn't even bother apologising. He just claims that he's so full of integrity and stands by nearly everything he says. He doesn't specify what he doesn't stand for or stand by, besides waffles on about some of his COVID claims. And anyway, so there's also, what's the numbers? I think it's section 474.15 of the Commonwealth Criminal Code, which is Schedule 1 of the Criminal Code Act 1995, is using a carriage service, and a carriage service is defined in the Telecommunications Act as including the internet. It's also, you know, telephone, text, whatever. But using a carriage service to threaten, and you've got two limbs, two parts. One is to cause serious harm to someone, and the other one is to threaten to kill someone. So I won't go into all the technicalities, especially since, you know, someone watching this may well actually learn something to help them with their pending court case, if that makes sense. But an interesting thing too, just as a separate thing, is it doesn't matter if the person actually believes that they're going to be murdered by the person, as an example. It's still an offence. So that the threat to kill using a carriage service carries 7 years maximum penalty. Using carriage service to threaten to cause serious harm is 5 years maximum penalty. There you also have 474.17, which is using a carriage service to, and you've got three parts to it, three limbs. 1, harass, 2, menace, and 3, cause offence. So that includes 5 years maximum penalty. Is it 5 or 3? I can't really look up on my phone at the same time because otherwise it'll stop the live stream. But I think it's 5 years maximum penalty, but it could be 3 years, for a non-aggravated offence, and I'll explain what that is in a second, and 7 years for an aggravated offence. And it defines an aggravated offence in that case as having sexual content. So some people watching Lance's videos knows exactly what this is about, and you know, it's wrong. People shouldn't do that. And anyway, what else was I going to say? So aggravating circumstances also include for other charges. Just say, you know, if someone mugs someone on the street, I'm just making up an example, then it might have a penalty of 5 years. I'm just making up again, I'm not using actual numbers. But if the person is in company, i.e. has a buddy with them, then that may well be an aggravating circumstance depending on the jurisdiction, like, you know, what state or territory it is in. And then it may have, you know, a 10-year sentence, or using a weapon, or say if you break into someone's house in the daytime, that's perceived as a lot, what do you call that, a lot weaker or a lot less than breaking into someone's house in the middle of the night, which also has connotations that, you know, a lot of people do get murdered at night time and raped at night time when people break into their house, because it's expected people also are going to be home at night time. Whereas if it's 12 o'clock in the middle of a weekday, then, you know, unfortunately there's still people that are, 1, robbed, but 2, raped or murdered in their house. But there's a lot less chance of someone doing that because, you know, it's easy for neighbours to hear screams because people are out and about, it's not the middle of the night, and the person may well not be at home. So anyway, wonder if there's any comments. I don't think there's any comments at the moment. So anyway, they're my thoughts, and the long and the short of it is, you know, if there is someone cyberbullying you, criminally defaming you, unlawfully stalking you, I suggest you go to the police. What you do, you go in there, you just say, hey, I'd like to make a witness statement. You then usually have to wait a couple of hours, which isn't the best, but, you know, it is what it is. Police stations are very busy. There aren't very many police per, you know, 1,000 population, that kind of thing. And if you want to go really quickly, not having to wait an hour and a half, then go when they have changeovers, like 6 in the morning. So a lot of stations will get, 2 new police officers first thing 6 in the morning, and you can just go in there and make a statement and not have to wait for so long. But anyway, so then, a few weeks later, obviously the person will be contacted, and then hopefully they pull their head in. But unfortunately for those people that have caused harm to other people, then they've done what they've done. So obviously if someone is not so intelligent enough to, when they're doing their crimes, to do an open video where they're saying it, they can't really deny that it's them. And it not only applies to Lance Simon, the allegation, and remember it is important to realise it is allegations only until it's proven in court, one way or the other. Technically you can only prove that someone did something, or you don't prove it, therefore they're innocent, because there is a presumption of innocence in common law countries, i.e. Australia, USA, Canada, New Zealand, the UK. With the UK that has a little asterisk because Scotland actually uses mixed common law as well as civil law. So basically though, the old countries or nations or states, colonies that were colonised by the UK are common law countries, and they have the same kind of framework legally. And anyway, it also applies to another fellow named Jared Oates, who was threatening to murder and rape again Peter Little. Is a big part of the Calling Out All Scammers group, which encourages people, I submit, to go out and harass and menace and threaten and cause detriment to people, including falsely reporting things like fundraisers for GoFundMe as an example, falsely claiming that they're scams, getting them shut down, getting donations to stop, when there are unfortunately some scammers in the world, but there's hopefully a lot more, and I mean a hell of a lot more, honest people. If someone raises money for a certain purpose, then they have to spend that money on that thing or something very similar. Anyway, so then with the Jared Oates person, so I stood up for my friend, just like I did when Lucky Lance was so-called calling out Peter Little, and I did a video saying, hey look, is Peter Little an Australian lawyer? He keeps claiming he is. What is the definition of an Australian lawyer? And I went through the Legal Profession Act, and lo and behold, he's an Australian lawyer. This is very simplified, because obviously if someone's disbarred it might well not be the case. But if someone is admitted to practice as a solicitor or barrister in Australia, then you are an Australian lawyer by definition. The difference between that and a solicitor or barrister or a what's the term? My mind just went blank. Legal practitioner is that a legal practitioner, which is either a barrister or a solicitor in Australia, because we have a split profession, is that they have a current practicing certificate. So, you just walked in a big spider web. Still on me. Hopefully the spider's not. Anyway, so I'll cross the field with the plovers instead. Basically, when someone is admitted to practice, you become an officer of the court, and that is of the Supreme Court of that state or territory. And if the territories have Supreme Courts as such, can't think at the moment if they do or not. Maybe. Pretty sure they do. even Norfolk Island used to have a Supreme Court, but it might not be labelled that. But anyway, so you become an officer of the court, you have certain obligations to the court to doing justice. You can't just, lie for your client, say, oh, that wasn't little Johnny, that kind of thing. Otherwise a person can be disbarred. That is, removed from the role of solicitors or the role of barristers. So basically, when you're admitted, you get your name, you sign it on a little book, and hey presto, you're an Australian lawyer. But you're also, when you have your practicing certificate, a Australian legal practitioner. And you can be a foreign legal practitioner as well. So just say if you're a German lawyer and you're, sorry, just getting a phone call, and you're visiting or something, doing a court case here, then you can be allowed to practice law here. That's a whole another story though. And anyway, hi Nick, long time not hearing from you. Hi Jeannie. So anyway, so after I called out Lucky Lance, not called him out as such, but did a video showing that Peter Little is an Australian lawyer, then I became a target and ripped the most filthy, vilest garbage. And, how's that going to work out for someone ultimately? I don't think it's a good idea. It's also not a good idea for the other administrators or moderators on that page, and the group and the subgroups as well, because they have other groups, like one that's GoFundMe scams or something like that, with Jimmy Peckolis, and then they have Justine Brown, and Jimmy's mother, Joanna Delafotis, I think her name is. Yeah, sorry, it is a bit dark. I'll walk towards the light. I see the light, I'm walking towards it. Anyway, so that's why I became a target of that group. And then with the Jared Oates, who was sending rape and death threats to Peter Little, I stood up for Peter, so then I became a target. And then he allegedly was messaging me that he was going to rape me, shoot me with his .22 caliber, or get his brother to, that he has emailed or text messaged or something like that to his brother, my details to rape and murder me. I don't know what some of these people have wrong with them besides generally, but it's very unusual, I suggest, that men would say that they would rape another man and then murder them. But I've had multiple death and rape threats from men. Another one was Silas Johnson, who's supposedly a liberty person. So, indeed, what the F. So anyway, I'll just summarise the video since there's more people on now. So this video concerned, I just watched a video from Lucky Lance, whose real name's Lansley Simon, or Lance Simon on Facebook, and he's like having a little cry, it looks like, in the video, wiping his nose and rubbing his eye and making a video saying that he made a few boo-boos. And as I said, I suggest one of the boo-boos is allegedly breaking the law. That includes, there's various charges someone can be charged with. Often the police will just say, hey, go with charge A because it's easier to prove. There you go, Lance is on. So he says, only a fool gives another fool the time of day. Don't dignify them with a response. So, Lance is on. So it's just, I don't know how much you've seen, Lance, but I was talking about your video that I saw today that apparently you filmed yesterday, where it appears that you're having a little cry and seem to be worried about going to jail. It seems from your video, from the context of it, that you have been charged with some stuff. And, you know, were you not warned, as an example? And then the video talked about using a carriage service to threaten to cause serious harm or kill, murder, as well as so it's 7:30, so I don't know what's that got to do with anything. But anyway, also using a carriage service to harass, menace or threaten. And anyway, so they are criminal offences and they're federal crimes dealt with via state police. You have a thing called cross-vesting, so basically the states can look after federal crimes and federal acts, but you can't have the federal government, federal courts look after state-only stuff. So Lance says, why would I be going to jail? Maybe for using a carriage service illegally, and he says he hasn't been charged with anything, yet it did appear from the context of the video that he was charged. And he keeps saying about, you know, he gets to air out his blah-de-blah in the case, in which case that's not even relevant to that. Okay, Lance, so what have you been accused of? What was your video about yesterday then? Hi, Tia from Calling Out All Scammers. So my phone's battery's going to die soon because I'm not doing it from the car if it plugged in. So I'm going to have to bugger off soon. So, you know, you can answer if you like, Lance. You said you haven't been accused of a crime. And, you know, so I have to wait and see. So that's a bit of a weak response, I suggest. But anyway, yeah, it is 7:30, Nick, and it is very dark for 7:30 as well. So, yeah, so Lance is saying, how's the GoFundMe going? You know, that's a very silly thing to say, I suggest, Lance. And anyway, so I'm going to bugger off if no one has some other, you know, interesting comments or questions. Someone's waiting for me and tooted me, so I better bugger off as well. Don't know why there's car pulled over there. And I'm enjoying all the mozzies biting me. I look like I've got pimples, like I'm a little teenager again tomorrow, but such is life. Anyway, cheerio then. Lance looks like he's not going to reveal what his big court case is about. And nice to hear from you too, Nick. I did get your message in the Arjay Martins for Australians page, but I can't reply on there for some reason. So Lance is saying, why don't you get a practicing certificate? Good question. Maybe I am getting one. Who knows? Why don't you get one, Lance? You know, instead of having your mini bus full of QCs in 2 weeks for your mention, then, you know, you can do it yourself. Anyway, so Tia says 10 minutes of her life she'll never get back. Oh, just think of all the time she spent on Calling Out All Scammers, a hate group. So Lance is saying about serving him, i.e. legal documents, and email him. So I suggest that Lance be quiet and waits until I have time to prepare things. When are you going to court, Lance? I think you're going to court in 2 weeks, you said, and then in 6 months, roughly. So, you know, make the video more interesting than that without it being defamatory and, you know, you waffle on about, or someone says about free speech, but they don't like it when I do bad things about them. What song are you playing, Nick? So Nick's playing his guitar and doesn't know if he'll be certified. And then Anna, also from Calling Out All Scammers, is on. So anyway, like I said, and David's saying Sarashi, however you pronounce it, freedom of speech, let Lucky speak. You know, Lance is typing now if he wants to. Of course, freedom of speech is limited. You can't criminally defame people. You can't use a carriage service to menace, harass, cause offence, threaten to murder people, threaten to cause serious harm, that kind of thing. So, you know, that's just weak him trying to say, in my opinion. So, or, you know, someone says they're free speech advocate, but I've got my opportunity in 2 weeks and 6 months. Like that, you know. Obviously people need to have reasonable free speech. As the saying goes, you can't call out that there's a bomb in a movie theatre if there's not, because people panic. And it has negative impacts on people, and you shouldn't do that anyway. So anyway, that'll do. And then Anna, also from Calling Out All Scammers, says, who are you? What do you actually do? So just being silly there, I think. And wasting time, like she goes on Peter Little's videos and waste Peter's time too. So anyway, it's 7:32, time to bugger off before my battery dies. I've got 11% battery. And anyway, cheerio, bye. Please like, share, subscribe. Put some donations into the GoFundMe if you like. Look up COVID court case, what is it? COVID lockdown court case, something like that, on GoFundMe. And, you know, you can donate there. Because obviously Anna, Lance, who else? Tia are from Calling Out All Scammers, the hate group that is mislabeled I Submit. So Lance again says a stupid thing, saying email me, I can teach you how to serve me without giving you my address. You know, again, that's just stupid, in my opinion. No, I've already gone to the Court of Appeal and had applications to get substituted and informal service before. So, you know, again, you know, it's just baseless criticism. Anyway, I gotta bugger off now. I hope you're all well, and hope those people that are doing wrong stop doing wrong, and, you know, learn to reform and behave and live in a civilized society without being a jerk off. Anyway, cheerio. Woo. Another funny thing, just quickly, is Lance says there's 4 ways you can serve people. There's a lot of ways you can serve people, including originating documents. Especially when you get informal service. You can do by Facebook message, text message, fax, all sorts of ways. Anyway, bye.